So today I have the amazingly talented Laura Daly from Love Ellie Bridal. How are you, Laura?
Hi, Jenny. I am so excited to be here, and thank you so much for asking me to come on. I am an avid listener of the podcast, so this is thrilling for me.
Oh my God. Well, I am an avid fan of your work because I see an awful lot of your dresses at the weddings that I photograph, and they are all incredible.
Thank you so much. All our brides are fantastic, and you do so many of them. You photograph so many of their big days, and it's just amazing. I love when I see your name popping up on the screen and I'm like, yay, it's a Jenny wedding. This is
She's
brilliant.
going to have the dress laid out properly.
She's going to have perfection, which I just love.
Yes, I am a bloody perfectionist, I'll tell you that much.
I love it.
But you are too.
Oh yeah, I love a bit of perfection, and I just love, for us, the bride comes first, always. Whatever she wants, we will make it happen.
Yes.
If she wants to add sleeves to a dress, if she wants to make a really big Mikado bow to go in the back, whatever it is, we will make it happen.
Amazing.
So that's what we're there for.
Oh, I have so many questions to ask.
I'm fire away.
So excited about this. So tell me then, first of all, and I suppose I would ask all of my lovely guests, how on earth did you get into this business?
That's a good question. Well, first of all, I've always been obsessed with wedding dresses, even as a child. Just the magazines, the whole idea, the whole notion of dressing a bride for like the big day, or a woman just in general for, such an important day in her life. I mean,
one of the most important days.
One of the most important days.
One of the most important dresses.
Yeah. I mean, how exciting is that? I mean, what an amazing career. Like, I've always been so intrigued by it. Yeah. And it's always such an honour to be a part of somebody's wedding dress journey as well. So, so after I did my degree, I did my master's in Smurfit in international business. And then I went to work for Dunnes Stores in the buying department.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was in the Savita buying department, and then I moved up to branded footwear and accessories.
I love Savita.
You love Savita. Everybody loves Savita. It's a great department. It really, really is. And I just loved it. Yeah. I loved the creativity. I loved the chaos. Yes. I loved you work such long hours, because fashion in general is long hours.
Yes, of course.
And it's hard to get into fashion in general, but in Ireland it's super hard to get into fashion.
Of course.
So I counted myself so lucky to get the job in Dunnes, because only Dunnes or Pennies where you can do fashion buying really in Ireland, like proper fashion buying, like design and
Pennies
then buy.
Well.
Pennies as well. I have a huge buying department. Yeah.
Go on.
In Mary Street. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was one of the lucky few to get in, and I learned so much. I love that it was female dominated as well, because I'm a real girl's girl.
Yeah, me too.
So I really respond to kind of female energy. So I loved that community. And through my time in Dunnes, it answered any kind of lingering questions about what I wanted to do with my life. So I went full whack at opening my own boutique, and it had to be bridal.
It has to be bridal.
It has to be bridal.
Selling wedding dresses and fitting people.
Yeah, it just had to be. Wow. And 6 years later, we're still here.
And you are so popular for wedding dresses.
Thank you.
And, I suppose when you were opening up, did you know where you wanted to open? Did you know what designs you wanted to have in stock?
Yes.
How did you do all this? This intrigues me now.
Well, first of all, my first port of call was the designers. I had a list of exactly who I wanted, and I wasn't opening without these people.
Okay. Oh, God, you're very fussy.
Oh, I was too fussy. I was that really annoying person then at London Bridal Fashion Week. So it was my very first London Bridal Fashion Week that I went to, and I was like, I need your dresses. And they were like, who even are you? And I'm like, I'm Laura.
You mean you don't know you?
Yeah. So that was the vibe. I just went into it with a really, really clear vision, and I kept going till I got them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you always get what you want?
No,
don't tell your husband.
No. Well, I always say there has to have been somebody, looking out for me on this journey as well. And I owned the boutique with my mum. So she's been with me from the start of the journey as well. And if you ever want to meet somebody who's going to get something done, it's my mum.
Oh my God. Yeah. So you follow in her footsteps.
Oh yeah.
Big style.
Yeah, she's a powerhouse.
And does she work in the boutique with you?
She does.
What's her name?
Yeah, her name's Ellen.
Hello, Ellen.
Yes. So she is on holidays at the moment.
Oh,
she's in
she?
Austria visiting my
Yes.
brother who lives there. So she is raging that she's missing out on all this crack and all the
well,
fun.
you know, she will listen back and she will hear how fabulous you are.
And I named the boutique after her. So she's the Ellie in question.
Oh.
Yeah, which she was super embarrassed about at the start, but
she's delighted.
She loves it now. She only pretends she doesn't like it.
But what an amazing name.
Yeah,
for a boutique.
It's great. Yeah.
And you would never forget it.
No.
Do you know?
No. And I even have girls that come to me and they're like, oh, my middle name is Ellie, or my first child is called Ellie. And I heard about your boutique through a friend, or I saw you on Instagram and I just had to go because of the name connection.
Wow.
So it's gas how that actually works.
And did you then, I suppose, have an idea in your head about what you wanted your studio to look like? Or is that what you would call it? A showroom, a studio?
Boutique. Showroom. Yeah. All perfect words. I wanted it to be really chilled.
Yeah.
Because that's my vibe in general anyway. I liked a nice chilled, easygoing space.
Yes.
Our walls are grey because obviously there's so much white.
Yeah.
And I love a bit of pink.
Oh,
obviously.
God.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
a bit of pink. So a splash of pink and just a really soft grey back tone, and then just let the dresses do the talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you have a shop front where you show your dresses?
We do now.
Okay.
So this is actually our second
I
premises.
I think that's important.
It's hugely important actually, and it was a huge achievement for us because in our first premises we were on a first floor,
right?
At a first floor location, and I didn't have a big shop front. I only had a small little, like a small one. And so we moved further up the town, and I got really lucky with this premises. It's a huge building, and I have like a double shop front.
Wow!
Yeah, it's
so
gorgeous.
When you say this town, tell everybody where exactly you are based.
We are based in Virginia, County Cavan.
I love it.
Yeah, so right beside the Virginia Park Lodge.
Oh, and I love that even more.
Yeah, Richard Corrigan's cooking. You can't beat it.
It's lovely. I love that venue.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And the town itself is wonderful. The people are so wonderful, so welcoming.
Yes.
And it's one of those, you're on the Meath Cavan border. So you're about an hour from Dublin, you're an hour from Belfast. It's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a great location.
So we were speaking about the designers. So I know that you've Pronovius. Tell us. I know who they are, but tell everybody else. What are the designs you have?
I love Pronovius. Yeah. I love all of them. I don't play favourites.
Yes.
You have a favourite child, but...
Yeah. You don't have a favourite child?
I don't have a favourite child.
I love all my children. I have 5 of them. I love you all the same.
I love you, just for the record. Well, we are one of the biggest stockists in Ireland now of Pronovius.
Wow.
Pronovius Atelier. So they are a Barcelona-based brand, and they are one of the oldest bridal houses in the world.
Wow.
They're going since the 1920s.
Seriously?
Yeah. And the atelier is in Barcelona, which we were lucky enough to visit.
Seriously?
We got a private tour of the atelier, and it is just amazing.
Oh, I'd say you were in your element.
Element, yes.
I'd be in my element.
Oh, yeah. And I'm just like, snapping pictures and having a good look around, but trying not to be too in their face.
Yeah.
Because they don't do it. They don't open it up to every stockist. So we were really lucky to get a tour at the atelier. Yeah.
But you're a very nice person, so I don't blame them doing that.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Who else then do you have?
We have Justin Alexander, so he's New York based.
Yes.
We have Stella York, Martina Liana, and Essence of Australia. And the clue's in the name there, so they're Australian brands.
Yeah. And tell me then, are any of those more popular than other ones? Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got 5. Do brides come into you and say, I want this brand?
Sometimes they do. Yeah. Like, for example, Pronovius would have what I would call like a cult following.
Right.
So they're
a cult following.
They really do. Like, there's brides who are obsessed with Pronovius, and it has to be Pronovius.
Yes.
Do you know that kind of way?
I know.
Yeah. So definitely probably Pronovius is the one where people book in, and it's to see a particular dress because their designs are quite unique.
Yes, they
are.
Yeah. And then I suppose I just know from when we were getting married, Martin and I thought, oh, well, I have to go for this type of dress because I was 38 getting married. And I thought then, which was 12 years ago, I thought, oh, I'm quite old getting married, so I don't want to be old. Now, actually, when I think back, what was I even thinking of? And I suppose it was because I had all my children at that stage.
Yeah.
I probably thought, oh, sure, I'm too old, so I better not get a puffy out dress like ballroom gown style. But I suppose my better feature would be my waist. So I ended up actually going for a ball gown style dress, which is not what I went in for.
Okay.
And it was the nicest dress on me. So Does that happen in your boutique as well, where they come in going, I want this, and then they go for something polar opposite?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I always say to girls, come in, do a little bit of research and come in with an idea.
Yes.
But also come in expecting to be surprised.
Yes.
And don't be shocked when you fall in love with something that you didn't expect.
I love it.
To like, do you know, that kind of a way?
Yes.
Because these are not garments that we're trying on every day.
Yeah.
This is a very different type of dress, very different type of shopping. So, you know, you're not going to be experienced with regards to trying on wedding dresses. So kind of do leave yourself open to being surprised.
Yeah, I love
and finding
that
something.
advice.
The wild card is what we call it.
Yeah, because do you know something? I suppose an awful lot of girls, and I speak to them every day, they do have this kind of design in their head, and that's what they're going to go for, and nothing else is going to get in the way of that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, it doesn't happen like that. You know, they end up going for something completely different.
Yeah, and we could be going through an appointment. We could be, say, an hour into the appointment, and we're kind of ticking all the boxes with regards what the bride is asking for, but she's still standing there going,
I don't know.
I'm not getting the wow factor. And then that's when something clicks in my head where I'm like, okay, I think we need to switch this up a little bit.
Yeah, because that was another question. How do you know what to do when they don't know what they want?
And you're like, listen, would you be open to a wild card? Can I go down there and maybe pick something that I think you're going to look amazing in?
Yes.
Something I know is not what you're asking me for. So when I come in, you're probably going to be like, no, Laura, no. But just pop it on and see what you think.
Yes.
And the magic happens. And this happens a lot.
I'd say it does, because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And when they find the dress, what's it like?
Oh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting for them, but it's also such a rush for us as well. Because when a bride comes in, it's kind of a little bit like a puzzle, and you're there to kind of solve the equation, to kind of find out what she doesn't like, and build up to what she does like.
Of course.
And then you find it, and we're all like, yes.
Oh, do you get emotional?
I have gotten emotional, especially if the bride is and the mom and they're hugging and I'm standing there like tears rolling and I feel like an idiot.
No, I know, because I would get emotional at weddings as well.
No, you
all
do.
The time.
Yeah, no, you absolutely do. And a big thing for us in Love Ellie is celebration.
Yes.
That is like our shop boutique motto.
Yes.
Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Because there's so much in life. You know, there's so few wins in life that you need to be celebrating the really big moments.
Yes.
So,
Well, you know, picking your wedding gown is a massive moment.
Huge.
You know? Yeah. And I suppose from little girls, we dream about getting married and walking up an aisle.
Yeah,
like, I just think it's incredible when they say yes to the dress.
Yes to the dress.
And then do you provide them with their veil then as well?
Yes, we have an insane selection of veils.
Do you?
Like too many veils.
Insane selection.
It's insane. It is. There's nearly too many veils.
Yes.
We have pearl, we have sparkle, we have lace, we have two-tier, we've got Vera Wang, we've got any kind of veil you can imagine. We have it. And also our main veil supplier customizes.
Oh, wow.
So if you fall in love with a veil but you decide, okay, I want a pearl scatter through this, he can do it for you.
Amazing.
Handmade in the UK and stunning.
Wow. So you bring these dresses in and you've got 5 different designer labels, so to speak.
Yeah.
So what happens then when they have to have them altered? Do you do alterations in-house?
We don't do alterations in-house.
That's quite typical, actually, of a lot of bridal designers.
Yeah, most bridal boutiques now in Ireland don't do alterations in-house. And mostly it's because if we did, we would have to do them, say, on a Monday or a Tuesday when the shop is that little bit quieter.
Yes.
Because you would have to dedicate a huge amount of space and time to it.
Of course.
But then brides don't want to have to take annual leave.
Of course.
You know, they want to be able to get their alterations done at the weekend.
Yeah.
So it's actually far easier to separate it and they can go directly to their seamstress and work away on a Saturday. And it's brilliant. Yeah.
So then my next question is about the seamstress. Do you have specific seamstresses that you would send your brides to?
Yeah, we actually work really, really hard. Oh, you have to.
God, Laura, could you imagine if it went wrong?
No, you have to absolutely have 100% trust in your seamstress and know that you're going to her and you are essentially handing over your wedding dress and saying, make this look perfect for me, you know? So you have to really place your trust in them. Yeah. So we've actually worked really, really hard on the list of seamstresses that we recommend.
Great.
Because we're not just a local shop, we're a nationwide boutique.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So they want to find a seamstress who would be relatively nearer to them maybe than you would be.
Exactly. You know, just yesterday we had 2 brides from Galway and 1 from South Dublin. So I don't want both of those Galway brides having to come back to me in Cavan for alterations.
Yeah.
I have a fantastic girl in Galway who does amazing alterations and they're delighted to be able to go to her and it's far closer to home.
She's probably delighted that you recommend her.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's really good though. I mean, it's a partnership. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't want, you know, unless she's 100% fantastic and really lovely to the brides.
Yeah.
You know.
And then off air, before we came on live, you were saying, you know, about sleeves and stuff and bows on the back that you can add them on. Do you do that, or does the seamstress do that? So I have a dress and I think, oh, do you know what? I love this dress, but I don't like my arms and I want some sleeves. Who does that?
Well, it's kind of both. Right. So the idea and the making of the sleeves starts in store.
Yes.
And by the way, that's such a typical, this is an Irish thing.
Yeah.
Irish women do not like their arms. So we have a whole, no, we don't.
I cannot stand my arms.
I know, I'm like, I don't have a great love of my arms either. And I don't know whether that's because of my, you know, of my actual arm or whether I just hear people saying it. Yeah, genuinely. And I think that's the same with the brides as well. I think we're just now conditioned to not like our arms just because people have told us not to. But anyways, so we have a huge selection of sleeve dresses in store.
Right.
But a lot of the time, a bride will fall in love with a dress. You know, the neckline's perfect, the waistline, it's the right fabric.
Yes.
It's the right amount of dress, if you know what I mean. It's the right amount of train, the whole lot. And she says, the only thing it's missing is a sleeve.
Right.
And I'm like, no problem.
Okay.
We can order the fabric, the exact same fabric to match.
Amazing.
The sparkle, the lace, whatever components or elements are needed. We can order them in and the seamstress just runs up a sleeve.
Oh, amazing.
Very easy.
So you give them the dress, you give them the material that they need and they go to the seamstress.
The buttons, the loops, the cuffs, everything.
Happy days. So they have their final fitting then with their seamstress.
Yes.
So you missed that bit.
I missed that bit. I get a lot of brides though who will message us afterwards and maybe send us a picture of her in the dress at the final fitting and they're like, it's perfect, can't wait. I love getting those messages.
Goodness.
Yeah.
So then, like I suppose when it comes to the dresses, would you know, I mean, I'm sure you would because you're in the industry, you know, you would have a particular girl coming in, you know, who has a particular size.
Yeah.
Would you sort of go a size up for her and then get the seamstress to take it in? Because, you know, they all lose weight before the wedding.
They do.
You know?
Yeah. That's actually one where there's kind of no one size fits all scenario there.
Yeah.
So I do the measurements in store and then we look at the measurement sheet and we have a look at the corresponding sizes.
Sure.
We pick the size closest to the measurements.
Sure.
Now, if a bride is in between sizing, you know, in between two sizes,
of course.
In general, the designer should say, okay, order up.
Right.
You know, in alterations, then we can pull it back in. But it's really up to the bride at that point. I say, you know, we sit down and we have a proper look at it. And I say, this is your measurements. You're in between the two.
Yes.
And if she says, oh, I'm hoping to lose a little bit of weight. And I'm like, well, if you're comfortable ordering down, please do so.
Yeah.
Or if you want to err on the side of caution, we'll order up and you can just take it in.
Okay.
But not to feel pressured having to order it bigger.
Yeah.
Because some girls are like, no, 100%.
Yes.
A stone is coming off. I'm ordering it. And I'm like, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
That's your decision.
Because I have had brides who have full intentions of losing weight before the wedding and then don't. Unless they have that last little minute bit of stress and they lose a little bit, but they're not down the stone they want to be down, you know.
I know.
So I think maybe leave it up to the bride.
Yeah. Because some girls are really specific. They're like, no, Laura, I've done this before.
Right.
The stone is coming off.
Yeah, okay.
100%. I don't want to have to take the dress in.
I'm doing
it. And I'm like, well, if you were sure. But now, in fairness, a dress can be let out up to a size anyway, depending on the seam allowance that's there and depending on the designer. So it's not necessarily the end of the world if it's a little bit too tight.
Okay.
Like it can be worked with.
Sure.
But I think it's really important that the bride does make that decision.
Yes.
And that she's happy with it and she's not nervous about it then afterwards.
Yeah. She has in her own mind kind of what she's capable of when it comes to kind of losing a bit of weight.
And we never condone losing weight though. No. I think everybody just looks perfect as they are.
Like I do too.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, your hair, your makeup, your wedding dress, you're just going to look amazing on the wedding day. So so leave it up to the bride.
Leave it up to if it was me, Jenny, I would be ordering up.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want the pressure.
Yeah, I wouldn't want
and
the
I
pressure.
would just take it in.
Definitely.
And that's what I always recommend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I think everybody looks perfect as they are. There's no need to lose anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then talk to me then, Laura. So they're coming into you, okay, for the first time. They want to have a look at some dresses.
Right.
They don't bring a tour bus full of people with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've spoken to a bridal designer in here before, and that is the one thing we did discuss because it's not great for you, is it? Or what is the reason behind that?
Do you know what? It doesn't make a huge difference to us.
Okay.
This is more for the for the bride's sake.
Right.
So I think there's this notion now with all of the TV shows, like Say Yes to the Dress.
Oh, yeah.
And this word bridal entourage.
Oh, yeah. They've a whole sofa full of people.
Yeah. and you're talking like it's the mum-in-law to be the groom's cousin. You know, I mean, it's like random, you know, not necessarily random people, but necessarily people who don't have to be there.
Exactly.
You know, so for me, 3 to 4 guests is a really nice number.
Okay.
But we always say less is more.
Right.
If you can get that down to 2.
Happy days.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Because it, as we said earlier on, this is not a process you've been through before.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? These are not dresses you've tried on before.
Exactly.
It can be overwhelming.
Yes.
It can be a little bit emotional, depending. And you need the people with you that you trust the most.
Yes.
And really importantly, the people who know you.
Exactly.
Who know your style and know what's going to suit you. The people who help you to make the decision, they're the people you bring.
Sure.
Everybody else is just excess.
And you know, everybody else who, I mean, obviously there would be friends that you absolutely love and adore.
Of course.
But they're picking for themselves and not for you.
I know. And they're giving opinions based on themselves, not necessarily what they like on you. You know, the amount of times I'll say, okay, what do you think? And she's like, I don't like lace. And I'm like, but you don't like lace, but the bride likes the lace. And she's like, yeah, I suppose. You know.
I know. Stop talking.
Yeah. This is not helpful.
And then I would often notice, obviously on a wedding day, so the bride, and sometimes they just don't think about this bit. So they'll go for shoes with embellishments on them.
Yeah.
And as they're walking, it's catching the gown.
Yeah. I know. That is something we do talk about in store.
Great.
Because a lot of people and a lot of brides will message and say, oh, I'm thinking about these Jimmy Choos, or I'm thinking about Manolo Blahnik, you know, with the gorgeous little embellishment at the toe.
I know them. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Depending on the dress and the fabric, you know yourself.
Yes.
Like if it's a tulle dress, it might snag or it might stick to the Jimmy Choos, especially the sparkly, glittery ones. But if it's a crepe gown, you know what I mean, that's well lined, you could be totally fine. So it just depends on the gown.
So I'm delighted to hear that you talk about that.
We definitely do. Yeah.
One of the other things that I would notice, and it is the bane of my life, not my life, I don't mind doing it, but I'm like, what if I wasn't here? So you would often see at the end of the evening, before the bride goes off and does her first dance, they're trying to hook up the dress. Bustle up the gown.
Bustle up the gown, yeah.
Oh, I know how to do this because I was there and I was shown, and I forget how to do it.
I know. I always say this is the top tip we have in store is bring your mom or bring your maid of honor, bring somebody trusted and video it.
Take a video.
Yes, take a video.
I tell them. Take a video.
Take a video and then even practice it if you want to before the big day because you know yourself, after a couple of drinks.
Absolutely.
You're loving life.
You can't see your hand, let alone the dress.
You can't even find the ribbons to bustle up. So yeah, the video is a great thing to fall back on. God. You need the video.
Or you want to see me under the dress. It's like I'm under and the bum is to my face, you
know?
And I'm there trying to find it. And I can do it every time.
Yeah. And you're sweating and you've got all the gear on you. Yeah.
Honestly, like it is a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. Yeah.
So I'm saying it again, take a video of it.
Take a video. The best advice for sure. And practice it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? You don't have to tie it super tight or anything, but do practice because the ribbons, there is a bit of an act to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then obviously you've got different fabric types as well. Yes. And I have come across every single dress on the market.
I was, there can't be a dress that you haven't seen at this point.
No, definitely not. No. Unless they have been custom made from scratch. Obviously, nobody's seen it except the designer. But I have. So I see a lot of different fabrics. Yeah. And there are fabrics that crease very easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Like your silk or your satins or even some Mikados. They will crease and that's just the nature of them. Yeah. But yet they are staples in bridal.
Yes.
You know, they're classic fabrics that will have been there for years and will still continue to be there.
Yeah.
So it's whether it bothers you as a bride. Yeah.
Well, do you know, I had a bride recently and she had a material that you only had to look at and it was a ball of creases. Yeah. So I would always advise, like, if there's any sort of a train, just kind of pull the train out as you're sitting into the car and fold it over your knee. Don't kind of bustle it up. Yeah. That's what they do. They bustle it up and think,
no. And they just, as you said, bunch it almost. Yes. They just grab it and bunch.
No. Dress down. So I'm really really fussy about the wedding dresses.
Yeah.
And anyone, if they're listening and you've got married with me, you know what I'm like. I bring a white towel and everything, Laura. I'm perfection
fair play.
to put it underneath the dress if we're laying it all out, because I want to get a full shot of my bride in her dress. Just so you can see all of the detail.
Oh, that's so lovely.
And I know that sounds quite classical. And I wouldn't say I'm a classical type photographer, but there are certain shots that they will want, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know everybody wants that real, you know, the movement shots
or
the
reportage.
Yeah.
I get that too.
Yeah. But as you said, they are the shots that when, you know, everything is over, you're going to look back and say, oh my God, that was the back of the dress on the hanger and that was this. You know, you'll want those memories.
And like, I think of you, Laura, and I think of you putting the dress on the bride and having it like beautiful on her and laying it out and having it perfect.
Yeah.
She's going to want to look back at some of those photographs on the day. But when it comes to the material that creases, so my bride recently had one of those dresses and it was super classical and it was stunning looking.
Yeah.
However, when she sat down, the front of it was just like lines and lines and lines of creases.
Yeah.
So would that bother you? I would imagine it would, because it's in all your photos then.
It's in all your photos. Sometimes your body temperature, like the heat of your body, can soften the creases as well.
Yeah.
So I suppose
if you're standing, because if you sit again, you're gooseyed again.
Yeah. And I suppose it's getting into the car and getting up the aisle and getting the photos.
Yeah.
And after that, then you can relax. You don't have to worry about the creasing.
Yeah.
So as you said, you know, be clever when you're getting into the car. Don't don't give it a good pull up. You know, sit appropriately in the car, fold the train over.
Yes.
Just be a little bit more gentle, a little bit more careful until the main pictures are over.
Yes.
And then you can dance the night away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what tips would you give them about the veil and how to manage the veil? Like, you know, sometimes it's like a cathedral length veil.
Yeah.
But like what, I mean, obviously I've all my own tips and I know what to do. What would you tell brides how to manage that?
Take your time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because there is a little bit of fixing to a cathedral length veil. And I think depending on the photographer as well. So you're obviously you're a perfectionist, Jenny, and you're understanding when it comes to this. But I've been bridesmaids at wedding where I'm trying to fix the veil and they're like, it's going to blow anyway, or it's never going to be perfect. Just leave it be. And I'm like, no, let me fix it.
Yeah.
So I think to be able to take your time, do you know, that kind of a way and fix it, because it's an expensive item.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those dream items as well.
Yes.
You know, Meghan Markle veil, you know, the cathedral. You want to see the detail. You want to get the full effect.
Yeah.
Take your time with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I suppose 99.9% of the time I am putting the bride into her dress.
Lovely.
So obviously you want mum putting her into her dress or whoever she has decided.
Yeah.
But an awful lot of the time on a wedding day, they've got, I've said this before, they've got false nails on, they've got false tan on.
Yeah.
Or mum is nervous and
the buttons are tough.
Buttons are tough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I whiz through them. What do you recommend they do for anyone who doesn't have Jenny McCarthy
with
to put them into their dress?
Yeah, I would say mums are fantastic, but as you said, that, like, you know, the stress levels and the nerves can be quite high. So I think a bridesmaid or somebody chill.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I think let your mum do her little bit and you can get the photos of the mum maybe doing a few buttons or whatever, but have somebody else there on hand who can whiz through the buttons and get you downstairs for more pictures without it taking like a full half hour.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have a backup.
Yeah. Like I had a dress now last week and it had all of those buttons on the back, and I love them when they're sort of almost like elastic little, what do you call it, material that goes over but this was material.
I know.
That you had to pull over.
And we're seeing those more and more now.
They're trickier.
They're so tricky. Yeah. They're even tricky for us in store.
Yeah, are they?
Yeah,
so that was the question.
Yeah.
Like, do you find that tricky?
Yeah.
How do you close them?
Without the elastic, you are literally just getting your nails right in there and just giving them a little flick. But they do take longer than the elasticated buttons.
They definitely do.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing then. If you've got one of those dresses and you want obviously it to look perfect at the back, you need to give yourself more time to get into one of those dresses in the morning. And like I am, like I've said, I'm a control freak and I'm a perfectionist. I know I am, but I want everything right.
I mean, you're there for the bride. Do you know what I mean? And you have her best interests at heart, which I love.
I do.
Yeah.
And I always love to get up to her other half at the church because we need to give them a bit of time too.
I know.
So if the ceremony's at 1:00, I like to be up at the church or the ceremony for 12:30. I like to be there 30 minutes so I can capture them and I can capture the guests arriving. But I also want to make sure that I have some beautiful portraits of my bride in her dress before I leave her.
Yeah.
So I need her in her dress 30 minutes before I leave her. So she's to get ready into her dress probably about 20 minutes before that. But if you've got one of those dresses, you definitely need to give it an extra 10 minutes.
Definitely.
Definitely.
And on pickup day as well, you know, make sure you do have somebody with you, mum, bridesmaid, whoever. Again, somebody that you can trust and who's actually going to be there on the morning when you're getting dressed.
Yes.
And then during pickup, we can say, okay, take a little look at these buttons. Half of it is a zip. The rest are these little fabric buttons as opposed to elasticated.
Yes.
So you might need a large bobby pin or, you know, just practice a crochet hook. Really just get the nails in under there and practice it. Do you know what I mean? And takes the nerves out of the morning of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing I would say to my brides, because the dress is everything on the morning, take it out of the bag the night before, Nora.
Even when you bring it home from the seamstress, take it out of the bag.
Because it's going to be creased.
It is going to be creased. Like fabric is going to crease. Yes. Do you know that kind of, you do have to be careful with it, 100%.
And you know what? I understand why they keep it in the bag because they don't want anyone to see it.
Yeah.
Take it out of the bag, lay it out and put the designer bag in front of it.
Yeah.
And just,
or even a white sheet.
Or a white sheet.
Just over it. And it'll cover the whole tray. It'll cover everything if you're worried about, I don't know, flies or dust or anything that might get into the room.
So I invested in a steamer. It's called the Verti Steam Pro. If
I've seen this
again,
on your Instagram.
You can't buy them in Ireland
24/7.
anymore. They're gone.
Brilliant.
They're gone. And I don't know if it's because I mentioned it, but they are amazing.
Yeah.
And by the way, just on the Verti Steam Pro, if anybody has bought it, you have got to put the pad on the front because there's like 3 or 4 little holes that the steam comes out. And there's a pad that goes in front of that. If you put the pad on the water, it just comes out as steam.
Excellent.
Don't put it on a dress without that because it'll leave watermarks.
Yeah.
Anyway, you've got to go outside Ireland now to get it. But that's the one I use. I would say 60% of the time, maybe a little bit more, I have to steam a wedding dress when I get there in the morning. Because they didn't take it out of the bag.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Or we often get calls to the store and it's the day before and I'll see the name popping up and I'll say, oh, Michelle, Amy, whoever. And I'm like, she's getting married tomorrow. Guarantee you it's to steam the dress.
Wow.
All of the time.
And would you go and steam the dress?
If they're local to us, they can drop it in and we can give it a quick steam. And then I'm like, the minute you get it home, lay it out.
Take it out.
Or we have little steamers. So we have ProPress is another really good brand.
Right.
And they have just brought out a mini steamer.
Okay.
So we have their big industrial steamers in store. ProPress. And they're minis.
Them.
You have to buy them from the UK.
Okay.
Or you can buy through us.
Right.
If you want to. They're brilliant.
And do they have
really
that
good.
pad on the front as well?
They have, no, they don't have the pad on the front, but they really don't need it. It's like a metal plate they have instead.
Okay.
And they're really, really good.
Okay.
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
I just think sometimes brides forget that they need, all this extra equipment just in case.
I know, even for bridesmaids dresses and stuff. Because I mean, I've been bridesmaids. I've been a bridesmaid many times. Yeah. And you're packing your bag the night before and
exactly.
If you have a dress bag handy, if not, the dress has been folded up and put into a suitcase.
Yeah.
If you're rushing and you just got home from work, yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, trying to get to a wedding at a weekend, sometimes can be stressful.
I steamed those dresses too.
Yes, you need to be able to steam them.
I steamed a groom's tie about 4 weeks ago. His tie. Because I'm kind of looking at, I'm anal about the ties as well. Anal about where the buttonholes go. I am ridiculous.
No.
And he said, I know what you're looking at. And I was kind of looking down. I said, yeah. He said, will I just get another tie? And I said, do you like that tie? He said, this is actually the tie I got. I don't know how I got this crease. And it was just a big crease across it.
Yeah.
So I just said to him, 1 second. So
Give me a moment.
Give me a moment. I get my bag of tricks. Yeah. So Amy, who works with me, she went out into the car and we were steaming the tie while it was on him.
Yeah.
So I just think a steamer is one of the most important things you need to have around on the morning. And a scissors.
So,
the tags that you hang the dress up, they have to come off.
They have to come off. And the seamstress probably won't take it off. You know what I mean? Because you still need to hang the dress perfectly.
Absolutely.
So that kind of has to be done the night before or on the morning of.
Yes.
So a scissors is crucial.
Yeah.
Absolutely crucial. And I know the word nappy pin is not a nice word. It's not a nice, the big safety pins.
I do.
Have them in your bag. If a bustle breaks, you're going to need them.
Yes.
Yeah.
A nappy pin.
A nappy pin.
Nobody uses nappies anymore, but I know exactly what you mean.
The really big thing, and they're really easy to use and they will carry a weight.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the other, just hooking up the dress, and I've seen it done in a few different ways. I think the ribbons underneath is probably the best way to
Easiest,
do it.
yeah.
Because I had a bride who went and bought this, I'll call it an apparatus.
Yeah.
It was just like a piece of metal which had 2 hooks on it. So the top hook went into the back of the dress. And then it kind of, that's how it stuck onto the dress.
Okay.
And then the bottom bit had another hook kind of facing out.
I've never seen something
like this.
So 2 hooks
were facing in opposite directions.
Okay.
And I said, she goes, this is magic. This is the new thing. And I said, oh God, it's new to me. I've never seen anything like that before.
New to us for sure.
So where's that going? So the top bit, oh no, it's easy, Jenny. Just, I'll show you. If you put it in there, I said, okay. Right. So I put it in and I said, I'm not taking any responsibility for this. Just so you know, I didn't provide it. And she was laughing at me. And I put the bottom of the dress.
I do not endorse this.
No, I'm not endorsing. And I definitely will not be endorsing it from when I tell you what happened.
Okay.
So I put the bottom of the dress up and hooked it on to the bit that kind of stuck out. And the whole thing ripped the back of her dress. Can you believe it?
I would
ripped.
Cry.
And I looked at her and said, where'd you get that? I'll tell you one thing. I'll take a picture of what happened there now and I would give out to them. So I had to take out my needle and thread and actually sew the back of the dress. Oh, listen, I had to sew somebody else into her dress the other day. She got her wedding dress and there were 2 little pads just inside, just where the boobs are. And I can't lie. So I'm looking, she goes, are you looking at my boob? I said, I am actually not looking at your boob, but I'm actually looking at the fact that I can see the
bust cup. Yeah.
She said, like, what am I going to do? And I said, well, you're not going to panic. I said, but do you mind if I stitch that?
Yeah.
So I just kind of, I just stitched it to the dress and it was fine. I'm not really good at stitching, but it worked. But something will always happen. And I would always tell a bride, just in case, have a needle and a bit of white thread somewhere because you may need it.
Absolutely. And somebody who's halfway handy with needle and thread is great to have around of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what other tips would you give brides for the wedding day itself? Do you know when they're heading off with their wedding gown?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you say to them other than obviously enjoy your wedding day?
When they're heading off with the wedding gown.
Do you know, I suppose, how to store it, how to wear it?
Storage, yeah. I mean, wear with pride. Is what I say, and wear with confidence and just rock it. Because as we've just spoken about, maybe not everything is going to go perfectly on the day, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be 100% perfectly.
Absolutely.
If it's a dress issue, if it's a floral issue, if it's a family, there'll be something, and that's totally fine. Wear your dress with pride. Have so much confidence that you look amazing.
Yes.
Because I think we all need a confidence boost.
Definitely.
On the day, and you need your cheerleaders around you.
Yes.
I think having, really good people around you in the morning to be your cheerleaders and tell you, you look incredible. You've got this.
Yeah.
The dress looks great on you. Just enjoy it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's funny that you should say that. Yeah. I always say to them, pretend you're in your jeans and your t-shirt and wear that dress. Don't let it wear you.
Exactly. Because it is a different feel.
Yes.
It's a heavier dress. I mean, we're not used to wearing these dresses, and sometimes you stand funny, because it's a different kind of a weight even on your body.
Yeah.
Wear with pride. Enjoy it.
And Laura, you'll have a heart attack when I tell you this now.
Yeah.
So I would work with a lot of videographers, different videographers, and they all have different styles and different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
But there's a few particular videographers and they just like the bride to just... I understand they need a bit of movement. I mean, I don't need movement as such because mine are stills. But they couldn't give a damn about the end of the dress, and they're getting them to walk off. And I'm going, oh, jeez, the floor. They're just soaking wet. I'm not having any parts of this.
I know.
I won't even take a picture of it. I'm like, it wasn't me. I didn't do this. It wasn't me.
I love that. I have no part. No part nor hand.
I stand there like that. I'm just trying to move this. There's no white towel under that dress.
No.
Oh, God. I'd say that would break your heart.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I had a friend recently, actually. She got married down the country and they got a lot of their pictures taken on the beach.
Yeah.
And I was standing there with my glass of champers watching them because the hotel was on the beach as well. And I was, you're taking a sip and I was like, oh my God. I was saying to Nick, I was like, I can't watch this right now. I was like, this is a travesty.
Oh my God.
The dress was gorgeous and it was a satin gown. And she came back up and she was delighted with herself in fairness. And she had this amazing smile on her face, you know what I mean? And she had really enjoyed the photo shoot on the beach. The bottom of the dress, the whole train was black.
What did you do?
We bustled up and she didn't care.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to say anything because why would you? You know, a dress is to be worn at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't want it black at that time.
You don't want it black, but she didn't care. Yeah. She got her photos on the beach and she enjoyed. And essentially, if you're going to go onto the beach with a satin gown in Ireland,
you deserve it.
You're gonna have damp sand. It's going to be a black train at the end of it. She knew what she was doing. She didn't care.
I still bring the towel. I know it sounds mad, but
oh no, they had the dog on the beach too. They had
they
had like it was
so they were easy going.
Too chill.
the amount of times...
I will not be that chill on my day.
Yeah. No, the amount of times that I have to go
to all
in...
my suppliers.
I'm not doing your wedding.
You're so lucky, Jenny. I'm only messing.
I would often have to bring a bride up to her room and wash the end of her dress.
Yeah.
Wash
yeah,
it.
And wash
so,
it.
So I would look for, soap that's see-through.
Yeah.
And hot water.
Yeah.
And a hairdryer.
Yeah, fair
and
play.
it's sorted.
Yeah, yeah. Well done. Yeah.
I had a bride last year who had a Vivienne Westwood dress.
Gorgeous.
No, I don't even know how much she paid for it, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was €10.
I doubt it.
It was spectacular.
Yeah.
And they got married in a church, and the floor in the church, it was lovely old school church. It was just fabulous. And the floor was kind of tiles, and they were like a terracotta and black tile.
Lovely.
But I sort of felt that the floor was a bit slippy, and I was a bit scared of slipping and falling. But it wasn't that it was slippy, it was filthy.
Oh, wow.
And she got up to the, like manky dirty.
Yeah.
And she got up to the top of the aisle, and her dress was, when I say black, I am not joking you.
Yeah.
And she looked at it, and I'll never forget the look on her face. And she was like horrified. And then she looked to see where I was. And I just went, don't worry.
It's going to be fine.
Don't worry.
It's going to be fine.
I'll fix it.
Do you know what I mean?
And she was like,
yeah.
And then I'm going, I have to wash a Vivienne Westwood dress. Oh my God, this material is just like a satin material.
Yeah.
I'd say it was a very expensive dress.
Yeah.
Back to the hotel and put the end of the dress into the bath.
Yeah.
That's how big the dress was. And I was like, please God, let
And
this
you're in
work
there
out.
like scrubbing it. Yeah. And scrubbing it and scrubbing it.
It was perfect.
It was perfect. Fair play. Yeah.
So I've no other questions for you. I have had the best chat with you.
Oh, I've really enjoyed it too.
I'm so delighted to hear that you're doing so well, and I'm thrilled that your mum is involved.
Oh, yeah.
And that you've named the shop after her practically.
Yes.
And I would say you are busy.
We are so busy. I mean, it's fantastic, and you can guarantee when you're coming into us that it's going to be chill, it's going to be easygoing, and we're just going to look after you. And fingers crossed, find you the most beautiful dress that you're going to be so proud to wear.
So you are in Virginia and Cavan, and if somebody wants to get in touch with you, other than driving all the way to Virginia to make an appointment with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Phone, email, Insta. You can even WhatsApp us if you like. But we have an online appointment calendar on our website as well, which is super handy.
So your website is?
loveellybridal.com.
Amazing.
Yes, you can see all our times and dates, and it's super handy.
Thank you so much
Thank you,
for joining
Jenny.
me
this
today.
was a pleasure.
That was amazing.
Thank you so much.